Hey everyone, I'm John with Roadkill Incorporated. Welcome to my series, Retro Resale. If you've seen my channel, you know I'm addicted to buying and selling retro. I really just can't stop myself. And that's quite simply because there are so many good deals and so many opportunities to make money that it's just hard for me to quit. It's like buying stock. Imagine that a share of stock is worth $100, but somehow you can get it for 20. Why wouldn't you buy it? I really need to slow down and concentrate on selling what I have. So in this video, I'm going to show you everything I know so that you can buy it all up instead of me, and I won't be so tempted. Increasingly, I'm trying to post the deals I find on X instead of buying them myself. People think I'm messing with them when I do that. They think that secretly maybe these listings are mine and I'm trying to capitalize, but I swear to you that that's not it. I'm just trying to get the stuff sold. If I know it's in the good hands of someone else, then maybe I can stop thinking about it. Okay, let's get to it. The first thing I'll say is that if you want the really good retro deals, you have to be addicted to searching, and you have to be persistent, and you have to be compulsive over a long period of time. You have to want it, basically. People look at retro on eBay and they say that everything's overpriced, but the truth is the best deals disappear long before those people even have a chance of seeing them. And that's because I'm searching for vintage computer 3,000 times a day. I always have it set for newly listed and click refresh continuously. When something new pops up, if it's good, I might snipe it within 2 minutes of it appearing on eBay. And then the "it's too expensive" crowd never sees it and continues complaining because they're only looking at listings that have been up for months. There is simply no substitute on eBay for doing manual searches and being persistent about it. Yes, I know there are tools that send you alerts, but those are just too slow. They might take minutes or hours, and by then I've already bought it. eBay saved searches and alerts, again, those things are worthless because they're too slow. I mean, it can't hurt you to do that stuff, but it's rare they bring up anything I haven't already seen. The only real way to go is to define simple search terms for the things you want to buy, set those up in browser tabs, one tab for each, sort by newly listed, and click refresh exactly as many times a day as is in proportion to how much you want to buy those things. If you doubt what I'm saying, just go to sold items and search for your favorite retro. You'll see a long list that went for ridiculously good prices. Why are some of them so low? Because sellers that don't know the value of stuff and think it's trash put a low buy it now on it. That's basically it. That's what you're looking for. Here's another important topic: communication. Communication on eBay is massively underrated. What if there's no best offer and the buy it now is too high? Most people say, "Oh well," and they walk away. Well, I have news for you. You can still make an offer. It's just that you have to message the offer to the seller. Here's a fully working vintage PowerBook I got for $15 doing this. Here's a rare Apple II clone I got for $69. And here's a lot of 5 working Amiga 500s I got for $400 shipped by messaging the seller with an offer. Okay, so what if the listing is local pickup only? Again, most people look at that and say, "Oh well, it's 2,000 miles away, that's not going to happen, right?" But actually, you can still email and ask if you can send a shipping service to pick it up. Or you can ask if sending prepaid FedEx labels will change their mind. That's a huge one that I've used 1,000 times because it relieves the seller of the burden of figuring out shipping details. Or if it's worth it, you can even ask to throw in $100 so they can have a UPS store pack it up for them. Here's a listing I paid $650 for after I convinced the local pickup only seller to use a pile of FedEx labels that I emailed him. I got what is certainly thousands of dollars worth of stuff, including Commodore 64s, a VIC-20, a whole 128 system, and dozens of packaged games. So what if the seller has 10 of the item listed individually, but you want all of them? It's not going to work, right? Because they're looking for individual sales only, and it's not worth it to bother them. Well, actually, you can email the seller a lowball offer for all 10 and ask if they'll put them all in a single listing for you. The worst thing they can do is say no. But the reality is, a lot of people say yes. Because think of it this way: they listed the stuff because they want it to sell. When you email and ask politely, you're asking them how to help you help them. You're asking to relieve them of their problem. So don't feel bad about that. And if you don't get the response you want, don't let it faze you. Just move on to the next. Not long ago, I found a seller listing vintage Dreamwriter computers one at a time. I asked how many they have, and I made a deal and got 35 of them ridiculously cheap, and they took down all the listings for me and put up a single listing at the price we agreed on. And then the next week, they emailed saying they had 20 more that they would let go for $10 each because they were a little dirty and they felt bad about that. You know, generally speaking, just going out there and buying stuff is very easy. Everything you could ever want is available at all times, but what makes it matter is the price. The fact that something is for sale only matters at all if the price is unbelievably good. So it's about filtering, and most of what you see is a distraction that just needs to be filtered out. You must buy only at the right price, especially if you're buying it to sell it, because you need that window of profit margin potential to be as wide as possible. With that in mind, it's critical that you know what the item is worth. How do you know what it's worth? You do that by looking at sold items. It's amazing. eBay's been around for 30 years, but incredibly, most people still don't know how to determine what items actually sell for, and they make guesses instead by looking at live listings, which is completely wrong. Go to Advanced Search, enter what it is you're looking for, click Sold Items, and sort by ended recently. These items in green are ones that have actually sold. Scroll down to get a sense of prices. Take note of the lower end, take note of the higher end. A good price to aim for is generally in the lowest 20% of what you're looking at here. Here's something else. Even if you're looking for fully working material, assume it's all broken when determining what you'll pay. Never pay more than a broken price because the seller convinces you it's working. Remember, these sellers do not value the items. They think it's trash, and it sounds harsh, but they're really not qualified to say if it's working or not. If you buy at a broken price, you won't be disappointed, and that's because you got a good deal even if it doesn't power on. And if it does, then hey, that's an even better deal. And if they claim it's working and it's not, then you can open a not as described case against them because eBay requires products to be as described in the listings. But here's a hint. Before you open a case, send them a friendly email asking to work it out. Sellers don't like cases open against their accounts because it affects their selling statistics. So they appreciate this personal interaction, and that buys you leverage. But if they don't give you what you deserve at that point, definitely open a case and sick eBay on them. So, to get the good deals and to get a lot of good deals, it's also critical to make as many offers as possible. Again, there are a billion things for sale, but a listing is not significant unless the price is great. So you have to make the price great by proposing a great price. Take a look at a listing, assume it's broken, determine what an amazingly good price would be for that item, and then make that offer. And then make 100 more offers on 100 more listings. If 1 out of 100 accepts, then you got a good deal, and the other 99 are of absolutely no consequence. Like I've mentioned in other videos, it's useful to use the funnel concept. If you drop 100 offers into a funnel, you're lucky to have even one success drop out of the bottom. This tells you a lot of things. It tells you in order to be successful, you need to do a lot more work than you think. Unsuccessful people make a few attempts and then they give up. But the funnel shows us that a few attempts are simply not enough to even have a chance. Another thing this tells us is that success is absolutely possible with enough work. If you're the right kind of person, you should get excited about that, not discouraged. An offer takes 15 seconds and it doesn't cost anything. The worst the seller can do is reject it, which means nothing, but they can also counter at a reasonable price and they might even accept it outright. That said, it's important to identify the type of seller you're looking at before you make an interaction. If they have 100 different retro computers listed and their eBay name is Retro Collector, then guess what? They know the value, and it's not worth wasting their time or yours to lowball them. But if they're selling one retro computer and they take a picture of it on their bed and the other listings are socks and t-shirts, a lowball is absolutely warranted. Another category of sellers is electronics recyclers. They might have tons of stuff for sale, but they generally aren't as aware of value as collectors, and they're definitely motivated to sell cheap. Make them an offer on all the retro they're selling, and they'll often be receptive. Here are just a few mountains of material I bought from recyclers for next to nothing. In fact, most retro I purchased has come from recyclers that I originally found on eBay. Check out my video on buying from electronics recyclers for a lot more detail. One definite downside of buying retro is so much of it arrives damaged due to horrible packing jobs. Again, these sellers don't value the items, so they often don't pack well. As far as they're concerned, it's trash, so they literally pack it with trash. It sometimes arrives wrapped in dirty dish towels and crumpled up junk mail. There's only so much you can do to prevent this, but once you purchase the item, immediately send the seller a message telling them how fragile it is and specifically how to pack it. If they give you an attitude, tell them it's their job to ensure it arrives intact. Check out my video on this topic for a ton more on packing and shipping. But anyway, the value of preemptively telling them how to pack it is that when it's damaged, you can say, I told you so. And when it's damaged due to negligent shipping, you can read them the riot act and tell them they either need to give you a full refund because you're not going to pay for broken stuff, or you need a prepaid label to ship it back to them because you're not going to pay for shipping. So most of the time you'll get a free broken computer out of it. Sometimes the seller will offer a partial discount and you'll have to determine if that makes sense for you. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. Sellers generally don't want their broken trash back, so you have a surprising amount of leverage. Looking at the big picture, taking retro out of the hands of people who do not value it is a very good thing. And selling it to others who do value it enough to pay a lot of money for it and who put it on a pedestal and treat it like a museum piece, that is also a very good thing. This practice of moving antiques out of harm's way and into good hands is great for the preservation of retro, and it makes you money in the process. People think money's evil, but the fact is that having financial value means something. Being worthless also means something, and let me tell you, it doesn't do anything positive for retro to be worthless, believe me. I've seen recyclers that by default destroy thousands of retro items begin to save them instead and sell them when they realize they can get hundreds of dollars for an Amiga. It's important to follow good sellers when you find them because a lot of amazing deals are not just one-offs. There are sellers who are slowly clearing out massive collections. You should ask to buy it all at once, of course, but sometimes they need to work at their own pace, and you have to hang in there with them. Check out this massive retro hoard I got for only a couple $100s on Facebook Marketplace. I got it by being willing to help the guy out doing some moving. Thousands worth of great material, basically just for doing some volunteer work. Some people sell professionally and have special access to certain kinds of retro. For instance, my favorite retro seller of all time is Dragon Berserker in Slovakia, who seems to get every Eastern European retro computer in existence. Just look at this insane stuff. You want a Tesla computer? Here you go. How about a didactic? Another final thought, be willing to do the deals other people won't do. I can't tell you how many priceless van loads of retro I've picked up for next to nothing because I was willing to spend 3 hours driving out to a barn in a rural area and no one else would do that. Check out this massive vintage Apple lot I got a few years ago for $1,500. Dozens of people had contacted the guy with no success, but because I offered his asking price and said I'd be at his barn the next morning, he said yes. Make it easy for people. Don't ask 5,000 questions and turn what should be a service of helping the person into a headache on their end. So anyway, I think that's it. That's basically how I do it. I'm super happy to give away all my secrets, honestly, because I want the stuff preserved. I want there to be a massive army of people actively saving retro. The one thing I ask, though, if you can please do me a huge favor, take everything I've talked about and put it to good use. Go get the good deals. And please buy it all quickly before I do, because I really need a break. Thanks for the help, and thanks for watching.